school.
Aaron?
Hey,
check.
school's back in session. This is a little bit of distance learning,
check.
y'all. Okay, we are officially live, so shut up.
Principal's Albin reigns supreme.
Sean? Check.
Go time.
3, 2, 1.
1.
Send border collie? Check. Art? Check.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are coming to you live from the internet. And I'm very excited because we are all reunited. It's been a little while. It's been, I don't know, I guess not that long, right? But Pete, you were out with Poison Ivy last week. We did a whole podcast about the boys in the middle where you were blacked out the entire time. Nobody could see you.
Blackout.
How are you feeling? How's your body? Tell us about your body, Pete.
I have dry, itchy skin that hates me. And
too much. Already too much information.
No, that's fine. We're good. We're good. We got to get into the show, Pete. It's enough already. Thanks for sharing.
Everywhere. It's everywhere. It's eating me alive.
I just want to say, Pete, you look beautiful.
Okay.
Well, except for your arm. And I just wanted to.
Well, this is going to be fun.
Poison Ivy prank.
Oh man, you were freezing a little bit. I don't know if you were going to say something, Justin.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you're saying.
I was going to say, how did you like our Poison Ivy prank?
Yeah.
Well played, guys. Well played.
Yeah, got you good.
Gotcha.
I mean, you should have seen your face. We didn't see your face, but you should have seen your face. Guys, I'm very excited about the show we have tonight. If you're over watching at the Tube, I see a bunch of comments there already. Anthony Latch says, "Oh yeah, let's talk comics." Longtime listener, first time live viewer. Welcome, Anthony. A bunch of other folks. New X guy watching for the first time live. Also, I think over here on Crowdcast there was somebody who watched for the first time live. So thank you all for tuning in. We have two great guests for you tonight that we're going to get to in a moment. A couple of order business. We're going to get to audience questions later in the show. If you got a question, drop it and ask a question on Crowdcast over on the Tube. I'm keeping an eye on the comments, so I'll read that stuff off. And of course, if you have questions for our guests as we're going, I'll keep an eye. What?
Not that good of an eye you keep on it.
Wow.
Well, okay. Listen, Pete.
I was able to sneak in there. I was doing a little sneaking.
You're going to do that again this week, Pete? You're going to go into the comments on YouTube, even though you're here live on Crowdcast?
No, that would be too much work. Frankie Castle forever. That's a shitty name.
Oh, boy. Don't insult our guests. So listen, I'm very excited about the guests we have on the show. Later on in the show, we're going to have Gerry Duggan is going to be here. Great writer, great guy. But right now, I'm going to invite our first guest into the stream. His name is Sean Chen. Hopefully, everything's working smooth with the tech. He was a little worried. I think it's going to work smoothly. I have a good feeling about this. But he is well known as an artist, but he is also writing a book, or wrote a book that sold out recently called Wingman, Compendium of an Artist's First Writing Experience from Next Chapter, which is very cool. So we'll see if that works. And we'll see if we can get him in here. You also might know his work from Iron Man, Avengers, X-Men, Bloodshot, Exo Manowar, currently on Batman Beyond, all that stuff.
It's a lot.
Okay, Alex, keep listing stuff that Sean's done because he's not here yet.
Oh, okay.
Just like other regular
breakfast, lunch.
Don't forget about
brunch.
Oh, yep.
Dinner, snack. Late night snack.
Late night snack. While we have a second, let's talk about Pete's betrayal again. Pete jumped over to the YouTube comment section last week and started setting up shop over there. Betrayal. We are here. This is where we are. And you're on YouTube trying to start your own little splinter group. You got counter Justin and a faux Alex over there.
I wish.
What was it like over there, Pete?
Down.
Was it like some alternate world?
Yeah, the people were nicer.
Nicer?
Man. People in
nicer
YouTube
than your old
comments.
pals?
Yeah.
Pete, the old pals Justin and Alex?
That's right. Yeah,
Hey, there we go. Hey, Sean. Hi. How are you doing? It all worked out. You're in the stream.
Cool. I was a little worried there because I never did, I'm doing these podcasts all the time, but every method of joining is a little bit different.
Yeah, we like to keep it complicated as possible in these trying times.
Yes. Yeah. It's good that we're 6 months into this pandemic and nobody's figured out live streaming or anything like that yet. Yeah. But we were very excited to have you here. We're very excited to talk about the stuff. We gave the whole lengthy intro about everything you've done. But the main thing you're here to talk about is Wingman, which is a very cool project. I believe it actually started during the pandemic, right? Like it was something that was kind of spurred on by that.
Right. Well, I actually did the comic itself maybe a year before, but it was kind of just sitting on my Instagram. And then my friend Carl Choi, who wanted to start up a comic book publishing company, he approached me to see whether I could put it on be the first book, his debut book for his new company.
And so cool. The concept of the book is basically Death's wingman, right? Like that's sort of the idea there.
Yeah, it's well, the main character just went through a very traumatic war, and he has a lot of like really big questions about life, and so he needs to find some closure. So he's desperately needs time to kind of unravel all of this. But then the Grim Reaper shows up, kind of at the worst time. So then he's in big trouble because he needs, in that short amount of time he has left, to get that closure he's looking for. But I guess one way he does is by delaying, kind of distracting Death by just kind of being his wingman and partying with him for as long as he can to lengthen that amount of time to, finally do what he needs to do before he kicks off.
And you drew on your own experience as Death's wingman to write this book, right?
There had to be a lot of research done because I really didn't know much about, the way he distracts is kind of by partying with him. And the area they're at is kind of like central Southern California area. So I didn't know anything about partying or that area, but I kind of
figured it out. I mean, every wingman main man relationship ends in the wingman being murdered. At least anyone I've been in.
Well, yeah.
Is main man the correct term for the non-wingman person in that relationship?
Yeah, it's strange. Like the wingman title is kind of like a double entendre because he really is sort of like he's an angel that has to get his wings. So he's kind of has to earn it. And I guess doing this one good deed before he goes, it's kind of the way he does it. So wingman, it means like it's another term for angel. And it's also a term for, I guess, the guy who helps you party. It's your liaison into the party lifestyle. So.
Nice. Yeah. I like that.
Now, not that it's unprecedented for an artist to move to writing or vice versa or anything like that, but this is the first time you've done it over a long career of being an artist. Is this something kind of like in the back of your head for a while? Was this the first project where it occurred to you? How'd that work out? How'd you eventually make that leap from one side to the other?
Well, I think I fall into a position that a lot of artists fall into. You think it's time to actually do something. When you kind of graduate from Marvel and DC, you want to actually start writing something. So everyone has these ideas in their head, but those ideas always seem to be like this big, epic sci-fi thing that becomes so big, really, that to be handled by professional writers. But we bite off more than we can chew. So it ends up just being something that never happens. And then you wake up one day and you're like an old person, and you never really got. I kind of had to hack my brain and just do the next project that came along. And then keep it smaller and just go where it goes without trying to come out of the gate with the biggest, strongest, most marketable project ever, which, it's a trap you fall into. And basically, it kind of dooms your project from the start. So the best thing to do is just to kind of ease into it, So this is a story that I wrote that's kind of something that I can handle because it's a smaller type of story. And, it deals with big issues, but then it's something that I can really get into. And it's not such a daunting, heavy world building type thing, which it seems to be the end of every story that a lot of artists try to do.
I think that's so smart because I feel like there's a fatigue there to the point you're saying it's hard to do those big stories where it's so much world building just from a logistical standpoint. But I feel like it's like, so this is a fantasy world where everyone's like fingers are actually screwdrivers. So you have to like get into that and like find out why that is and everything. To do something that feels like it's like premise and then let's get to the story feels like a release and something that I think we can all get on board with.
Right. Exactly. I kind of spend so much of my time doing the superhero slugfest type things. So this is a kind of a chance to do something a little bit different, like a quieter story. So in that sense, is something that I kind of wanted to do for a while, and it kind of breaks the ice to do more things later on. Like maybe the big sci-fi thing is the next thing to come along, but you really have to get your chops and all your work out all the kinks of writing for the first time in a smaller story. So I thought this is the perfect project to do that on.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Screwdriver Fingers, something I'm developing.
Yeah, what are you calling it? Screwdrivers?
Screw fingers.
Screw fingers. Oh, nice. I'm looking forward to that. Who's that coming out from again? Image Comics?
Yeah. No, it's Image, but it's with a Y instead of an
okay.
I. So it's a little like sort of a
like
fun,
old time. Yeah,
Image
project called Finger Bang, which is I think we may have to talk about so.
Oh, good. See, you here. It's good. We're all in the same world.
Right.
Well, I will say, on a slightly more serious, slightly related topic, one of the only positives out of this pandemic, I would say, is that it has really spurred people onto creative distribution methods. And the way that you put out this book, and correct if I'm wrong, but it was only on sale for 24 hours, but it's sold out, right?
Yeah, well, I think
sort of.
the idea behind the publisher wanted to kind of build some heat around a drop. So it was like a 24-hour drop. And for the first edition, which is like, the one, the coveted, the signed, and it comes with all these the bells and whistles with the first edition collector's thing. And then there'll be other ones later on for anyone who kind of missed that.
Yeah. Cool. Now that you have gotten a taste of the writing side of things, is that something you want to do more? Are you getting back into art, doing a little bit of both? Where is your head at right now?
I'll kind of take it as it comes. I mean, right now I'm doing Batman Beyond for DC. And then, I'd like to do more writing. I think, it's the way it's kind of done in like Japan and Europe. They seem to like write their own stories. And I think you get the best product that way because you kind of know what's in your mind when you're drawing a story that you wrote. Also, there's a lot more passion there because I think you can kind of see whenever an artist writes his own story for the first time or whatever, that it looks different from the stuff they did in the past that they'll do for the corporations because there's a lot more passion behind it. And it really shows in the work. There's a lot of fun going on, and some of the best work comes out when they are really have a vested interest in it.
Yeah. Is there going to be a second round of sales on it? Is there a place to check it out if people are interested in the book?
Oh, yeah. So nextchapter.com is the publisher. That's Next Chapter. They're the ones that they're putting out. And then, these things don't really have any shelf life. So as long as there's demand, they'll be printing and reprinting them. So, yeah, there's definitely ways to get it. Now that the initial sale is over, there's still ways to get it.
Before we let you go, we do have a question here over on Crowdcast from Josh. Sean, how different was it creating the art for your story versus for another writer, or did it feel different really at all?
Well, it did feel very different. I work with all different types of writers. One of the things that I'm always trying to do when I'm doing a comic for Marvel or DC is trying to figure out exactly what the writer is thinking, like how he's envisioning it. So it's just me trying to match their vision and using what their script, sometimes it's a plot, sometimes it's a full script, just to try to get into their head and see what they're trying to get across. With this project, you kind of throw it out the window. I mean, I know exactly what I want, but I'm not sure if other artists are trying to, write for the or draw for the writer. But I certainly do. So I always preferred the tighter scripts. The more detail, the better. I think that the biggest thing is that I just know what I'm getting into when I'm drawing it because I came up with the story, and also it's a lot more. There's a lot more passion there because it's a story that I have a really vested interest in conveying. Like I think you really have to kind of assume that the writer for a Marvel DC comic is trying to get some idea across, and there's an emotional satisfaction that they're trying to deliver through their writing, and it's up to me to try to jump in there and go along with it. So I can kind of draw it and just do the job of drawing it, but I really have to try to get in there and try to show exactly what's in their mind and try to get that emotional satisfaction that they're going for. So with this project, I kind of know what emotions I'm going for, and I know how to draw towards it. So I think it's a tighter, it's a better working relationship when it's just the same person.
Yeah. Also, it's much harder to yell at yourself, right?
Not true.
Not true. Not true. God, I screwed up. Oh, I see what you mean.
Where's those pages I asked for? I'm sorry.
I kind of took my time with this story because I think it was written over a period of a year because I was working in advertising and I was really missing comics. So what I would do is just draw whenever I had time, I would write and draw more pages. So one advantage I have over working writers, I'm not sure how long they take to write their comic book stories, maybe like 3 to 5 days or something. Mine can drag out over a year, so I can really go carefully along and entertain every single possibility for the next scene and entertain every single possibility for the ending. And actually, you get a good product by just slowly, deliberately moving forward. And that way, I can kind of deliver the best thing that I came up with over a period of a year rather than the best thing I can come up with in like 5 days. So.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Truly, what a dream come true.
Yeah. That's awesome, Sean. Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congratulations on the success of Wingman. I'm excited to check it out when it finally is available and not sold out. And good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on your show. I had a great time.
Great to talk to you, Sean. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye. All right, there we go. Once again, that's Sean Chen. You're in a good mood, Pete. I like that.
Pete's feeling good.
Pete's feeling good.
His lips aren't poison ivied on either side right now.
Yeah, no, he's just mostly poison ivy at this point. The poison ivy has taken over, so he's happier. Because
Pete, what are you drinking? Is that some sort of elixir? Some sort of healing tincture?
It's called V-Dew. It's vodka and Mountain Dew.
Oh, you were inspired by the Dew-arita, weren't you, Pete?
I was. Yeah, everybody keeps sending me that, which is fun.
What a fun reputation to have. Someone who's been waiting for the Dew-arita.
Yeah, the rest of the internet. Oh, my God, why are you putting up a Mountain Dew margarita at Red Lobster? That's good. Pete, I'll make one for myself at home.
Oh, I got to send that to my friend Pete. He wants to die by this.
Pete almost died of poison ivy. Now it's time to die from Dew-aritas.
I actually think I'm allergic to Mountain Dew. I was working at a theater when I was in college, and I had a bunch of Mountain Dew, and I never drank it, and I was sick for 4 days.
No, that's regular. If you get past that, then you're set for life.
Yeah, you need to build up an immunity. It's like in the Princess Bride movie when he's like, I built up an immunity to Mountain Dew.
Exactly.
That was my Wallace Shawn impersonation.
I mean, honestly, Alex, crushing it.
Do you know who else is crushing it? Is our next guest that I'm going to invite into our stream here. His name is Gerry Duggan. He is currently doing the Dugs. Is that what we're calling him? He's currently doing Marauders and Cable for Marvel Comics. Does a lot of other great books. I'm sure Pete is going to bring up Deadpool and other things. Ladies and gentlemen, Gerry Duggan.
Hey.
How are you?
Hey.
Look at this. You're at Comic-Con. You're in Artist Alley somewhere.
I have. I almost threw this out at the end of last con season. I had signed with Comic Sketch Art, and they had their own banners made, and it's ended up pretty useful, obviously, during COVID. So,
I mean, you legit look like you're at a Comic-Con right now. It's oddly comforting to see you.
I'm a professional. I'm a professional, guys.
No doubt. I'm in a murder basement, so I'm a professional in a different way.
Yeah.
We all have our layers.
So, Gerry, you are very much living that life right now. You're writing a couple of titles there. You guys are getting prepped for. I actually have a question. Is it X of Swords or 10 of Swords? What are we going for with this one?
It's pronounced the Hickman of Swords. It's 10 of Swords.
Okay.
10 of Swords.
All right. So there's 10 of Swords is coming up, but I do want to talk about Marauders, which is not stealthy, a Kitty Pryde book. Kitty Pryde, many people's favorite character. I don't want to point to anybody on the show.
Alex's favorite. Alex's.
Yeah, sure. So very exciting for me, maybe other people. What made, before we talk about recent issues, because there's a lot of big stuff that went on, what made her the right character to anchor this, and where did the initial idea of Pirate Kitty come from?
Well, it goes back to being in the Marvel editorial retreat and hearing John's pitch for what he wanted to do to the X-Men and for the X-Men. And I think it was the best story that I heard probably in that room ever.
Wow.
And I had been noodling with a pirate story that I didn't think I was going to be able to exploit at Marvel. Thinking that maybe this would be an image book or a spec or whatever it was. But then hearing John's story and going, oh, wow, there's such a cool island.
There's room for pirates here.
Yeah, there's room. It was such a big, expansive idea that there was not just room for mutant pirates, but, mutant magicians and, X-Force and a million other things that we have yet to even break ground on. So I talked to John and Jordan, my editors, and CB has mutant blood in him, and everyone was like, this was not the sort of the first thing that we thought we'd hear or ever greenlight, but we immediately began working on it. That was 2018 now. And as for why Kitty, Kate, and Emma and Shaw, they all came to the party together in I think it was 129. And I'm an older reader. I'm a Gen X guy. I met Kitty, and then less than a year later, I really met Kate in Days of Future Past. So these characters have spent a long time running around in my head, and for Pride, that was a childhood dream of hers, was to be a pirate. You don't have to know any of the deep cuts in order to appreciate, hopefully, what we are serving up right now. But we're very proud of the work. I'm glad it's landing. The X fans have not disappointed. I've been X adjacent for some time in the Deadpool world and in Uncanny Avengers, but this was obviously my first time really swinging a stick there. And I love my collaborators. John is an amazing collaborator, as are everyone in that room. And I think we're making a pretty compelling line of comics. So I don't know.
Agreed.
Let me real quick. You mentioned how this X-Men sort of universe can contain so many types of stories. Do you feel like it can contain almost anything? The way you guys are working, it feels like, where are the borders of the X-Men universe right now?
That's a great question, and it's one that we will continue to push. I think. The stories get bigger and bigger, and the stakes will get bigger and bigger. And I have to be careful. I'm not a great interviewer anymore. The more that I know, the more that I can ruin, the more that I shut up and clam up. But I recorded New York Comic Con today, and that was like midway through Ten of Swords. So I was speaking as some of the future was past tense.
It's a great really time to trick you.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's. I could blurt it all out and ruin it, and that would be that. But the truth is, Ten of Swords really is a big change, and a wonderful story. I'm not sure. It's a lot of extra work to be able to do a 22 chapter story like that, but John and Teeny have cooked up a really cool story that we found so many cool things as we were going along, plotting and writing and ripping stuff up and putting new stuff down that was better. I hope everyone responds to it the way that we do, because we're fans too. We just got these Pepe pages in and pages from Noto, and they're everyone's, it's a dunking contest, but everyone's winning. Everyone's getting a 10. So.
I want to just quickly say I really appreciate your humor and your writing. It's really fun to read your stuff. But I wanted to ask, before we kind of get into some of my favorite Deadpool stuff that you've done, I wanted to talk a little bit. as a fan, like the fact that you get to sit in on these meetings where they talk about their ideas and what they've got coming up. Have you ever kind of thought to yourself, like, how the heck is that going to work? That doesn't sound like they could pull that off. And then been pleasantly surprised. Has there ever been something you were like, no, I don't see the Hulk doing that?
Yeah, there are always ideas that you hear some of the ideas we hear we're being asked to bring something to.
Right.
You know, in terms of a tie-in, or how would you reflect that new status quo? Some of the ideas you hear, it's like, listening to like Evel Knievel before he jumped Snake River, and he's like, and that's how I'm gonna do it. And you go, more power to you. I'm glad I'm not on the bike with you, but I have always been pleasantly surprised by how the books turn out. Most of us will tell you an idea, and it will come out hopefully the way we intended it as we verbally tell it. But it always is better coming back, you know, the boards come back, the art comes back, and we rewrite it. And so even though I could tell you kind of how my Deadpool was going to go, for instance, but I didn't really know how it was going to go until the art came back and my collaborators got to leave their mark on it. We always rewrite the scripts before we send it to letters because it's infinitely better. So there are stories, you know, but I tell you, you know, listening to Al talk about Immortal Hulk, that was another time when I was that's he crushed that, you know. And there are times too, especially with Al's Hulk or even John's story. That was the only drawback to hearing John's story, was going like, I just had it spoiled, like, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, as a longtime ex-reader, you know, that's the only bittersweet moment for me. But the rest of it has been such pure joy that, you know, it feels like I'm making it up or lying, but it truly has been a joy and a joy really to leave 2020 Earth and go to 2020 Krakoa, you know, to be able to have a mental space that you can go and decompress away from some of our troubles is, you know, a unique privilege.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to be able that your escape is going to an Earth where the characters are being hunted and killed all over the planet, and that's like the better option.
Like slipping into a warm bath.
The one with Dr. Doom is far, far better.
You touched on this a little bit, and I know every project is different, but particularly with something like this, I'm really fascinated to hear about the coordination that's going on behind the scenes, because obviously Marauders is doing its own thing. You know, it's focusing on Kitty. You have Emmett in there. They're going on their own missions, but it really is almost more so than any point, I would say, in the X-Men history, where there is this progression of things that seems so carefully coordinated. Certainly, I'm sure a lot of that is on Jordan, is on Jonathan Hickman, but that's got to blow back, and that's got to come from you as a writer as well. So how does it work from your end?
We're working very, very closely in that, like, you know, my phone might give me a notification now, and I'll always check it in case it's someone on deadline that has a question about what is happening where. It obviously got a little bit more complicated in a COVID world, as schedules have slid and you know, printers are shuttered or Diamond is closed. But we do have a schedule, and we do have, you know, like a writer's room in a virtual space, and it's all separated by channel. And then our shared material, you know, it has special channels where we can tag each other and stuff and provide ref, and it's on the editors, it's on the bullpen in the hardest way, but we try to make their lives easy. In Ten of Swords, a lot of people have noticed now that some of the names have switched around. It's like seeing the E Street Band and then going, oh shit, Bruce is playing piano. Like, you know, like we're all moving as we needed to. You know, Vita has an amazing issue of Marauders. I'm co-writing Wolverine and X-Force with Ben. He's co-writing 2 issues of Marauders with me. and it all worked out. Some of that was just so that it was fun. Some of that was just so that it was a matter of practicality. I didn't want to have to do drafts, send them to Ben. As we were working side by side, it was much easier to go, let's do these one at a time, because so much of what we have is interconnected for Ten of Swords.
It's so awesome to hear that. That reminds me of when I was a kid reading the bullpen bulletins and being like, look, they all talk. It's crazy.
It's neat. New York was by necessity the epicenter of the comics world, largely because pre-internet, right? You had to shoot these boards. They had to be there. So to have a comics career, I think a meaningful one in the big two, you were in New York, and that's why there are stories from like Frank Miller and Walt Simonson had a studio, and you hear about these parties when somebody was late on a deadline, and all of a sudden they'd have an inking party, where 5-6 pages all inked in one night, people passing around pages. Yeah, it is the next best thing. We're all over the world, especially when you factor in our artists. We truly are around the clock. There's usually, I work pretty late myself. I sleep late and then I work late. That's, when nobody is ringing me, that's when I get the most meaningful pages done. And there's always somebody in that Slack up at any time, leaving someone a note. And, it's a real good group of people to be in a foxhole with, and, not an ego. The best idea wins. That type of thing. It's really a dream gig.
I have a very specific question about Slack. Are there on every Slack like company Slack channel? There's always the channel where it's like nonsense. What's the X Office Slack channel that is the most nonsense?
We have on the island. We have the Green Lagoon. It's a tiki bar. And so that's reflected in world in our Slack channel. If you have some shit posting, you do that in the
go there.
Bar.
Wow,
it's great. Love it. Love to hear it.
I was in there all day.
I want to ask you about the last, specifically about the last issue of Marauders, but in general about the last arc, where we're spoilers for anybody who hasn't read through it, so turn away now. But we finally found out a lot of what's going on with Kitty, why she wasn't able to be resurrected. She was resurrected. In the last issue, dealt with the aftermath of that. There was, speaking as a Jew myself, there's a very big moment in there that I was very touched by, where she gets her Jewish star back. What went into that scene? Why was that scene important for you as a writer?
You know what? She was always written as an observant Jewish character that was important to her identity. It's a team. It's a team book, but at that moment, it was heavily a Kate team book. It was just important to, as we are discussing life and death, right, and how the mutants have solved for death, but how do you make that important to Kate? Well, we found a numerology way to sort of tie that in, and I thought that worked really well. I was happy with the way that landed. I know there was Kate. Look, Kate was dead longer than maybe we'd wanted on the calendar, than we'd anticipated on the calendar. And that was an opportunity too for me to be able to shift that focus around. But I sent that script to my buddy. He invited me. It was my first bar mitzvah, and then we talked about that. We talked about the 18 and the symbol of life, and I knew then that I had a little bit of lightning in a bottle. That she would one day also probably get that inked on her wrist and have the Marauder on the other, so she'll have life and death. I think Dawn of X has been about hopefully giving gifts to these characters, and then by extension, giving gifts to the fans. And, so to be able to let a character play out their fantasy life, that dream life that they had, I forget, was it 138? I need to be looking at the cover But that was Kitty Pryde's dream life, was to be a pirate, and it's been a lot of fun to make that a reality in this Krakoa era of John's story. And so that's why it was important. It was important because it was important to her, and I hope everyone got a kick out of it.
I wanted to circle back around a little bit. You had talked about the joy, finding the joy in writing and characters. For me, like when somebody takes over a character, like say a Deadpool, like finding the voice is super important, because when you like a character, you want it to feel the same.
Your buddies are shaking their heads.
Yeah, I know.
Never ending, going backwards.
They have to deal with me for years. It's a long time. But anyways, my point is, what joy did you find in writing that character? Because it really came across as a reader like that you were having fun. Was there something that you found in this character? Because it just seemed to really click for you.
Yeah, it was such a good fit. It was lightning in a bottle. Obviously I'd worked a lot with Brian Posehn before that, and
comic genius.
He remains, one of my best buds. We had the over the course of 50 issues, it's a wild ride, and I appreciated how hard he was working on the road. As my comics career took off and I was doing more shows, I was doing more scripts in hotel rooms, and I was like, this is
what a nightmare.
This is a drag. But getting it done. But honestly, the joy of Wade, and I guess maybe the interesting thing was, we inherited him. Daniel left him in a real clean slate, which was important for me when I bounced too, to be able to go, the next administration can decide what he even remembers of what we did. But when we inherited Wade, he had two voices in his head, and then in behind the curtain, he had two voices whispering to him for one voice. So it was a balancing act, and Wade being able to sort of know something that the reader also knew is fun. It provides context. He's I hope that I will have been as good to him, or that we were as good to him as he was to me. I didn't quite understand at the time, especially in that first year, what an opportunity it was. I'm glad you dug it.
Oh, we have a question here in the comments from Pete's Punisher Slippers. How did Gerry feel when Posehn met his fate in The Mandalorian?
I don't know if I'm allowed to. I may be bending Brian's NDA, but he called me after that shooting day and was like, I can't tell you what I just did, but I did something that I never thought I was going to do. And I almost guessed it. I was like, were you running around like in a I thought it was going to be like, like a trash bag alien or something, I was like, because I knew they were getting going on the series, and he was like almost couldn't talk. Just really what a joy that is too. The idea that it's fun. Now we're in an era when I think in pop culture, with Star Wars, with comics, you see some interesting things from some creators who have spent a long time thinking about it. It's all thoughtful. Whether you agree with the decision or not, you are seeing sort of what happens when a fan becomes a creator and is either precious or not precious about the material.
Yeah.
I mean, to that end, you talked about this a little bit as being a fan of Kate, being a fan of the X-Men. Is there anything else in that realm that you haven't quite gotten to do yet, either Marvel, another comics company, that you're gunning to do at some point, or would be a dream job?
I was not sure after Guardians that what I was going to do at all at Marvel. I was sort of thinking about maybe dusting off some specs and going back to TV, or waiting for the right thing to happen. I didn't. Some of the other things that I would like to do, I knew were just getting going on long runs that have been incredible. So to be able to be reunited with Jordan on what is unquestionably my favorite group of characters, and to be able to tell stories that are additive to the world and aren't making anyone wince, especially John, where he's got this story that he's telling, but it's so big that it accommodates, he built a nation. He didn't necessarily know what all the counties in that nation were, and was grateful that we could, plant something of our own in those places. And, I think it's going to continue. We hit it. Like, I feel confident that we hit it. And I think, we began in 2018. I'm actually even further out now than that in terms of where the headspace is going and where we think the stories will go. I think it's going to be a really interesting place to tell stories and to read stories. So if you're this is the real thing that I'd ask anyone that is enjoying the books is to pre-order them, because it takes the guesswork out of the retailer. And I think especially with X of Swords, the way that this is going to shake out is, we're probably, some of these issues are going to be in the reprint game, and so people may be waiting for their chapters. Pre-order these books, and it's voting with your money. It's going to make your retailer's life easier.
Well, I mean, to that end, I don't know if you can talk about this necessarily, but is there an end point for this story, or is it just open-ended at this point, seeing where it goes?
That's I had heard things, but until they happen, they don't happen. So it's my guess is, as a general rule, it'll be John will use his own instinct about what's what. But right now we're just enjoying hitting print on these comics. I know that's a vague non-answer, but it's the only one I can give.
No, it's fine. I mean, to be perfectly honest, this question came up kind of naturally, but earlier today I was thinking about this because I feel like this comes up in a lot of interviews we do where it's like, hey, I love the thing you're doing. When are you going to be done with it?
When do you wrap? When can I? It's funny. I mean, I see sometimes, people can end up sort of accidentally stumping for jobs that are not theirs. I've always tried to be really sensitive about that. When someone asks like, well, what's the dream job? I'm lucky in that right now, this is the dream job. If I were not a part of the X-Men universe, I would not be saying I want to be. I'd just be happy to be on the outside a fan, but that's deeply what's inside of me was, the mutants were my go-to. Some of my buddies were FF readers primarily. Some were Avengers. I was X. We would New Comic Book Day, I think, was Saturday back then when I was riding to comic shops in New Jersey on 10 speeds. Either that or they just weren't putting the books out till Saturday, but they had to go.
I just wanted to quickly say you brought up Guardians, and that was really an amazing run. And the use of Galactus was really just fantastic. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. That was I went into that assignment, that gig, thinking that I would have as long as I had on Deadpool. So it was a good lesson for me too, and how to accordion story when I found out that the runway was going to be a little bit shorter than I wanted. But everyone at Marvel really did a lot of gymnastics to make sure that I got to tell that story in one way or the other. Became Infinity Countdown and Infinity Wars. It was fun. I had a lot of fun in Cosmic Marvel.
Looking forward, is Marauders at this point just running straight into Ten of Swords? Is there more story to tell about Kitty and the mysteries around her with Krakoa? Where are we heading with that?
Yeah, there's some, we've seen now, for a while, Kate was diminished and then has risen. And, I think we set the table for Shaw to have a moment of justice. So I think, in December, we release that cover. We've been lying to you on covers for a long time, but that's a pretty, I was going to say that's as truthful a cover as I will ever sign with my name on it. We'll do that, but then there is a lot more Hellfire. It's fun to world build. It's fun to world build with your friends, and these are characters who are world building themselves, and so a lot more Marauders. You could argue if the sales were to maintain, there could be a Marauders probably during this John era for sure, and one of the goals of the pitch of saying, hey, here's a comic book that isn't a legacy title is to make a new X-Men legacy title, and I think we've been, I guess only time will tell. I hope we've been successful in that. I hope someday, long after we're gone, Marvel may go, hey, remember we did a Marauders comic? What's the
Marauders take?
Yeah, what's the reimagination of that? And
that's cool.
We still, I don't really these days, especially, I'm not paying too much mind to anything online, but I still get people angry that Kate grabbed the Marauders name for the team, just sort of blurted it out. It made perfect sense to me.
Yeah,
I guess I'm the only one
they're
that
pirates,
had
man.
to make sense. For it was me. So.
And on the other side of the fence, you have done such great work over at Image, your indie comic books, your independent titles. Do you have anything like that on the back burner, the front burner?
Yeah, actually, COVID has done some weird things to the publishing world. So some things that were sort of on the slow boat sped up, and some other things that seemed like they were humming along may have slipped off a little bit. But yes, a lot more creator-owned stuff. All of it, I believe, through Image. They haven't turned me down. They've been such good partners through the good times and the rough times. And the first one is probably going to be announced later this month because we're going to do advanced solicitations for the book market. So it's a one-shot OGN in the pulp format or November format. Those hardcovers probably at a $16.99 price point.
Okay,
I'm going to experiment with that, and then there may be a Kickstarter or two that I might do just to be able to sort of get the books that are now a little bit slower in progress to be able to put the wind in their sails. So I got to figure that out. That's a whole full-time job.
Yeah,
time to do it.
Before I let you go, we do have
future job.
Yes, we do have a question here over on Crowdcast from Stray Bullet. When Cable started dating all the sisters, did he know he was doing that, or did he think they were all Sophie?
He's a telepath too. He's not a great telepath. They don't. There's not a lot of secrets there. Cable is, it's going to be great because of Phil, but I think by the time we tell our story there, that will be, I think for me and for Phil, a pretty personal story. Cool. We are the fathers of young kids who are starring in their own teen stories, which have been impacted by this virus. But that's a lot of fun. And I don't know who's current on it, but in the last issue that that hit stands, there's only one Cable. It's if the kid killed the old man, the kid's going to grow up to be that old man that knew that the kid was going to plug him. So, it was a crazy inheritance. I wouldn't have. In fact, I think when Ed was talking about that in the room, I remember going, I don't know if that's really what you want to be doing with Cable. And I was wrong. And I was very glad that he didn't listen to me. Because
of all the characters that have looped back on themselves, I was surprised to see Cable's going to be young and loop again in the way. But I got to say, it's a different version in a way that feels like a different thing.
There's a couple of issues of Cable in Ten of Swords that are great, and then the stuff on the other side coming out of for what happens to him in that story will have a really it leaves a mark on him in a great way. Inexperienced heroes are great. Like they're if you give me a doomsday scenario and you put Old Man Cable in front of it, I have a pretty reasonable assumption that he's going to be able to solve that. The kid may screw it up, and we've managed also for a Kid Cable book. We've had quite a bit of old Cable content in it.
But you got to get some scars on that kid. Get some scars on him.
Eventually, right? Like he's got to earn them. He's got to earn them the hard way.
That's right.
Jerry, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations
on
Marauders
thank you.
And everything else.
I'm so glad this worked out. This was a real treat, and sometime when you're back up on your feet and doing these live, and I'm in Manhattan for Comic-Con or a Marvel retreat, it'd be fun to see you guys again. So
we'd love to, man. It's so great to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jerry.
Thank
Have
you.
A good night.
Keep living that con life.
Yeah.
Oh no! I cut him off in the middle of something. He's gonna make a good
monster.
I'm sorry. I don't know. Itchy trigger finger. I'm sorry, everybody.
Itchy screw finger is what they say.
Oh man.
So
what
great.
Was he gonna? He was just gonna be like, and that's the secret to life.
He was gonna go like this, and fuck Alex Zalbin.
I will see you all at McHale's. Yes.
Yes. That's.
So yes, everybody go read Marauders. It's great. Go read Cable. It's great. Go read the rest of Gerry Duggan stuff. And folks, we're going to move to our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It's your audience question.
Audience questions.
And for that, you all figured out how this works. Well, we're going to start off with what you're drinking. But if you are wanting to ask a question, drop it in the comments on YouTube, also on the tube. Give us a little bit of thumbs up. We always like those likes there. If you're over on Crowdcast, you could just drop those questions and ask a question, as I've seen many of you doing. Pete, you are drinking Death Juice, I believe.
Always taking the cue when we go to audience questions to shout the first question. Like a true member of the audience.
Yes. I'm drinking Voodoo. As we established, Justin looks like he's drinking a lovely beer.
Are you having a Sculpin?
I was drinking a Sculpin earlier. Very good. Love a Sculpin. But I just switched over to something weird that I wouldn't normally drink. It's this 1911 hopped cider.
I do that too. I'll drink a drink that I like, that I know is good, and then I'll try something because you've got one in you. It's not as bad,
Exactly. There are no rules now. 1911 is this. It's a place out of the Beacon Skiff Orchard in Syracuse, New York. I was upstate last week, and we stopped there. And 1911 cider is very good, and this was just something they had at the orchard because we went apple picking, and of course I walked out of there with some alcohol. Good stuff. It is good. It's cider, but it's got just a little bit of like hoppy edge to it, and it's tasty.
Oh, that does sound good. I'm having a Life in the Clouds double dry hopped IPA.
Wow.
Pretty good. Very nice.
Yeah. You're always chasing the next hop high, Alex.
I need it bitter. That's what I need. Hey, before we get into it, I want to give a birthday shout out to Radlam over on YouTube. Happy birthday, Radlam.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Radlam.
Radlam is turning 30. Said it was, so he guesses it's a XXX birthday. There you go.
Yeah.
Coming into the 10 X of Swords. Very cool.
Triple
Happy
X.
birthday.
Tens.
That is my favorite movie series as well. All right, let's go to the first question here on Crowdcast from Omnia Soul. I know Pete rewatched Cowboy Bebop during the start of quarantine. Do the other hosts have a favorite anime? Also, do any of the hosts read manga, and what's some of your favorites?
Zalbs loves manga, especially cooking stuff.
That is true. I haven't read a lot in a while, but I got my daughter hooked on Iron Walk Jan, which is a cooking manga about a guy who is insane and goes in cooking competitions. So that was pretty good. Death Note is great.
Death Note, I've read that.
Pluto and oh gosh, I don't know. I guess I could look at my bookcase behind me, but that's what I got offhand. Anime, I haven't really watched.
Oh wow.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I haven't watched a ton either. What was that? There's a comic, the fencing sort of manga style comic we read.
Yeah,
Fence. We read for a while. That was fun.
Yeah,
but I also haven't watched a lot of.
You know what my big problem, I don't know if this is your problem too, Justin, is the idea of sitting down and saying, I'm just going to relax and watch 300 episodes. It just seems like a lot, you know?
Yeah. It's just everything to watch. And that also feels like, and from my perspective anyway, a more impenetrable thing where I'm like, I've so many recommendations of so many different entry points. It's like, which door do I take first kind of a thing.
Yeah. I did, Pure Cat PhD mentions the Attack on Titan anime. I think I like the manga better than that. I did actually watch the anime of that, and I thought it wasn't quite as good after the first couple of episodes, so I bailed. Maybe I'm mixing them up, though, but there you go. All right, over on the tube, got a question here from Anthony Latch. If you could see the Alfreds tackle any property ever... All Reds, not the Alfreds. I thought it was like Alfred.
All of the Butlers?
All the Butlers.
If you could see a bunch of Butlers tackle if you could see the All Reds tackle any property ever, who would their art style be best suited for?
Ooh, good question.
I mean, they're so like throwback. Have they ever done Archie? Oh my God, Pete. Jesus Christ. You just barely survived Pies and Ivy. Stop killing your body with absolute vodka.
Yeah.
Have they ever done Archie stuff? They have to, right? That feels like
I
a
would
perfect
think
fit.
At least a cover or something.
Yeah.
I would think that definitely fits. And honestly, like talk about like edging toward Riverdale, the Allred style has such like a little bit of like, this is unsettling to it. Mm-hmm. Like get them on an Archie book. It'll be right there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Pete, do you have one? Like a real Ginchy Punisher book or something?
No,
not into it. I don't know. Give me that big action team book. Give me the Allred Justice League. Like I know Ecstatics and X-Force sort of had that vibe.
That would be cool.
Like I'd love to see that on like sort of the more quote unquote serious big action teams in each universe.
Nice. This is from Ben the Border Collie. Any favorite recent and or all-time comic covers?
Ooh, there's a lot of great comic covers. Damn.
Man. I mean, there's the All-Star Superman one with Superman sitting on a cloud. That's a classic.
Yeah. That's a good
pretty
one.
Good.
I feel like my taste is in the sort of early 90s comic covers where it was sort of the mid form where it wasn't a composed piece of art. It was still like a little bit like a comic page with the like a very melodramatic moment where the hero is about to be killed. Like a bunch of Darkhawk covers come to mind like that. Like I miss that style of cover in general.
I don't know, like the Batman covers lately have been really killing it for me. They've been doing like a lot of fun kind of like old school stuff and all like where it's like just kind of action on the cover, but also they've done like some really great almost like painting stuff of like Batman the City that have really been fantastic as well.
You know, it was we talked about this on the stack, but a really, really good recent cover was that Wonder Woman issue where she was facing down the robot, and it was just sort of red eyes in the darkness, and she's super tiny looking it up. That great stuff.
Give me some of that classic Dave McKean back in the day, like Sandman and The Dreaming and all that. Love that stuff. There's another, I want to say his name's Tony Robinson that did a bunch of Starman covers that were like super painted and like really I don't like a lot of reds and greens. Really loved all those.
Yeah, someone gave Superman versus Muhammad Ali. That was a huge, amazing cover.
And also, what was the one where like you have the super team? I don't remember which super team it is, but there's the super team. They've been beaten by the villain. They're all kind of like lying, strewn over the ground. Like he or she, the villain, is standing on them, and they've been beaten, and they're all sort of like lying there in a pile, and the villain's on the top. What's that one? That one cover that's like that?
Yeah.
I think it's all of them. I think you're talking about all of them.
Oh yeah, all of them. Thanks, Pete. That's what it is. Took a second. Nelson Martinez says, anything in particular you guys are looking forward to in The Mandalorian Season 2 after the trailer dropping today?
Oh my God, how many times you guys watched that fucking thing?
Mando,
I watched it one time, Mando.
Just
I watched
once.
it at least 4
Well,
times.
Mando.
I zipped through Mando. I zipped through a second time to capture a GIF.
Come on.
Mando, come over here and watch this trailer once, and then let's go because we're adults.
They all love Baby Yoda, Mando.
Not Baby Yoda. But I just...
I'm sorry, the child.
Yeah. So, like, what a great...
He doesn't believe the hype.
What a great start. Like, you're like, oh, shit, there's the ship. And then you're like, oh, shit, the ship is in trouble. Just like, I just love the setup. It's such a cool reveal. I'm so excited for this new season.
Pete, you just burned Alex. You gave him verbal poison ivy. He's broken right now.
That was the most mean comment possible. What are you looking forward to most from Mandalorian Season 2? So many things happen in the trailer. I'm looking forward to the ship in the first second of the trailer.
Yeah.
I honestly don't believe you watch beyond the first second of something or the first page. Is that true, Pete? Do you go beyond that?
Yes, I do, you son of a bitch. But usually first images are the most powerful. That's why I hang on to them. But man, when it went black and he just whooped ass, that was also really cool.
Yeah. Pete, what are you looking forward to? Boots! Want to see all the boots they wear.
Boots and shoelaces.
I liked how much it held back on information. You know, we talked about this before, but as much as possible, I wanted to just stay simple, stay separate. It raises a little bit of alarm bells that they're like, you have to go looking for the Jedi, find the Jedi. And he's like, space sorcerers. I don't know about that. Yeah. So it kind of feels like we're getting into an area where it's eventually going to link up to being a normal Star Wars live action type thing. But the footage, at least.
Interesting, Alex. You don't think that this let it stay on its own and continue to tell innovative, unrelated stories? Or is everyone going to be a fucking Palpatine cousin in a couple minutes?
Yeah, by the end of the season, 100%.
As long as they got Sudeikis in there punching babies, we're set.
Absolutely. And get rid of Gina Carano. That would be nice as well.
No!
Pete, you got to read her Twitter feed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, no! Come on!
Yeah, it's very bad. I'm sorry.
Why?
Wow.
Why?
Here's the upside. It's in Star Wars, right? So if they want to pull up Poochie and say she died on the way back to her home planet, it actually fits in continuity.
I love so much on our show when Alex just tells Pete the news, and Pete's like, what? I've been too busy thinking about these boots in the Mando series.
Fuck me, man. So pissed. I had so much hope. I believed in her.
Yeah. Wait till Alex tells you what coronavirus is. You're going to shit your pants.
It's very bad, Pete. I don't want to get into it right now. Agitato over on YouTube says, I still want to see Carl Weathers walk into the room like, Mando, you son of a bitch. I agree.
Carl Weathers.
Solid chance of that happening.
Carl Weathers.
I don't think so. I think it'd be like, I'm low key this season.
Yeah. Mando have laryngitis.
Yeah, Mando. Oh, no. There we go. All right. Great questions. Let's go over here again. I Wonder Woman says, I wonder, is Batman skilled enough to take down a random criminal with one punch, or is he bad at fighting crime?
Wow.
I think we're talking about the Batman here, right? In the scene where he just beats the shit out of some dude.
Could be.
I think he's trying to make a point, personally.
Well, yeah, I mean, what people keep bringing up to me is it's still young Batman, and he hasn't trained, and so he's just angry guy in the street. So it's not the.
He's got those soft young man fists.
Yeah, a lot of cookie dough hands.
Punch anything, yeah, they don't get hurt.
Punching someone, the only time you can really punch someone and that's only one punch is when they don't see it coming. If you're a criminal is like ready to get with you, spar with you, or fight, like they're gonna take a punch or two.
Exactly. So yes, I think he can.
I fought crime for years, and it was hard to get the one punch game going.
Yeah, One Punch Man over here.
I don't know what that's a reference to, Pete, because I don't watch anime. Pete's Punisher Slippers says there was a villain called Pastepot Pete who notably renamed himself the Trapster to seem more menacing. Can you think of another character who could use a rename to improve their image? Hydra Man and Stilt Man come to mind as not very menacing.
Penance?
Yeah,
that's
Penance.
very
called
menacing.
Speedball. That's a rename from Speedball.
Speedball is less menacing than Penance. No?
Yeah.
No.
Great. Pete, you're as a sort of a paste pot Pete. You're more of an aloe jar Pete. Like, what would you want your nickname to be to inspire more fear? Your code name.
I guess Pete's Punisher Slippers would be my answer.
Oh man,
nice, strong choice. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think Doctor Doom's a little stale? Maybe he should freshen it up a little bit.
Come on,
it is pretty silly.
Like, why would Doctor Doom? He's like, oh, I'm gonna really my face is messed up. I'm gonna wear this mask. I'm gonna become I'm gonna rule the world. Why do I need the Doctor title?
Right.
Let the Doctor.
Doom is fine.
Let the Doctorate go. Just be Doom.
Yeah.
He's that smart. He gets to put a doctor on it.
But is he the kind of guy that he's got his like flying ship and it's still got MD plates on it, so he can park close to the Kinney's or whatever? That is CVS.
Kinney's? Where are you?
Upstate, my man.
Stray Bullet points out, I mean, he went to school and earned it. This is true. He did not go to 4 years of Doom medical school to be called Mr. Doom. You know what I'm talking about? Classic joke construction right there.
Get that joke construction out there. And guys, you should stick around the Crowdcast because we break down all of our best joke construction after every episode of the show.
Beercat PhD,
PhD? Yeah. Beercat PhD in the name.
How would she know? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah. Oh, okay.
Haven't you ever thought about just being Beercat? Come on, we get it.
Oh, poor Beercat PhD.
This is from Joe. Say you all got to make a Batman movie, but the one rule is you all have is it cannot be set any year that you have been alive for. When is your Batman movie set? Wow. Oh, gosh. I mean, we've been alive for a real long time.
It gives you guys a lot of options as the younger member here. Like,
I've been alive since 1938 when Superman was first introduced.
Yeah, you were the guy that said it's a bird, it's a plane, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then the other guy got to say it's Superman. I was like, God damn it.
Well, you had two guesses and you were wrong both times.
Yeah.
And it was clearly not a bird.
Yeah. What's that human guy in the air? Is that a bird?
Because here's the thing, birds are up in the air, so my first guess, bird. Second, I'm like, it could be a plane really far away because it looks tiny. But it's, and then turns out... I
was like, no, it's Superman. I was like, all right, there's a flying guy now. Thanks, man. It's 1938.
I did this character show. I did a joke in the idea that Superman was first flying around. He had a whole nother name for himself. And then some guy in the ground's like, look, it's Superman. And he's like, oh, I was going to be Cal the Mighty or whatever. And now I got to go by Superman because some asshole on the street is throwing this shit out.
Yeah.
Man, poor guy. Poor
assholes
Cal.
on the streets ruining everything.
So wait, let's get back to the question, though. If you could do Batman set any time other than when you've been alive, when would it be? Pete, that also counts for like a week from now when you die of poison ivy.
Yeah, I was going to say 2021 is when I'm going to set mine.
Yeah, Batman of the future. Let's see what that guy has to say. I mean, there's been so many Elseworlds versions of this. I'm going to throw it out to Leatherwing, Batman the Pirate, in like 16th century, floating around.
Maybe as a shout out to Spawn the Dark Ages, I would do a Batman Dark Ages.
Gotham by Gaslight is also pretty good if you want to go Victorian London or something like that. But we've kind of talked around this a lot on the show when we talked about Batman. I'd love to see like not 66 Batman, but early 70s Batman or something like that, where there was just
Adam West.
Past that, like a little last that. We don't need to make fun of it, but he can have fun. There could be weirdness and strangeness at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Motorcycles, cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Grainy footage.
Sure, grainy footage. That's what I want to see. Or you could do like a New Frontier era Batman. That would be fun as well. Question from Nelson Martinez: with the additions of Storefront and Eagle the Archer, are there any other new soups you guys want to see show up in The Boys this season? What do you think, Justin?
Here's the thing. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters shooting around that show. So
Justin,
I feel good about the number of characters in the show.
Would you say that maybe there's some coming up we should be excited about?
This season of The Boys is excellent. I've said it from the jump. Get excited, stay excited. It's great.
But they can't fire you if you said maybe a character that's going to be on the show.
I can tell you one that the news is already out about that's coming up later on in the season. Do you want to know, Pete?
Yeah.
Okay. Shawn Ashmore is going to be Lamplighter. They announced that before the season. So that's pretty cool because they bounced around and hinted about that for quite a bit. Interesting to see him go from an Iceman to a fireman. So I don't know how I'm going to wrap my brain around that one.
It's going to be hard, man. It's the same way you're pouring yourself a drink and you just light a fire in it rather than put an ice cube in it.
Yeah, I did that the other night.
Yeah.
There you go. So that'll be fun. Yes, Pete's Punisher Slimmer says this is the episode where Alex delivers the news to Pete. That's true.
It's always a part of our show.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm excited about the season 3 announcement. Jensen Ackles is playing Soldier Boy next season.
Yes.
Which seems super fun to have a little bit of a supernatural reunion going on there.
And we're going to get that season way sooner than I thought anyway. It's moving.
Cool. Interesting. Are they shooting now?
I don't think so, but I think it's going.
Oh,
How about next week? Are they shooting next week?
I don't know. I'm not part of that. I'm
okay.
Just based on what I've heard though about Vancouver opening up and everything. This is not insider information. This is regular information.
Interesting. I have some insider information I can share about The Boys.
Here we go.
Do it.
I don't know if this is true. But there might be some more of The Boys, like not just The Boys, but another show that might come off of that. Maybe. I don't know.
It sounds like a great idea. Are you talking about Inside The Boys, the after show?
Nope. A third show, actually.
Another
a spin-off. Yeah, there you go. That's something that maybe I've heard. I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not, but clearly it's a big enough hit. I'm sure it's something that Prime Video, that Amazon is talking about, depending on the ratings for this season. But I think that'll be very interesting. I don't know what direction they would go in. Herogasm After Dark. Yes. Just a nonstop fuck fest on Amazon. That would be perfect.
That's my dream.
Yes. All right, there we go. Next one, or last one, actually, from Kevin. Expanding on from Deadpool, who started as a parody before being fleshed out into Merc with a Mouth, who are some of your other favorite characters with parodic origins?
Well, Slapstick was a character, a 4-issue series from Marvel back in the day that I really liked. And then I was so surprised to see him appear in Deadpool.
Yeah, Edward Doherty nailed it on Ninja Turtles.
Sure. Were they? Well, no. I'm trying to think like through the continuity there, because
no, they created it to make fun of Marvel and what was happening. That's the whole thing behind the foot, is making fun of the hand.
Right.
And they were.
But it was still, even the first couple of comics were way more serious than people remember.
Oh, it's super serious, but they were still doing it as a mock.
Yes, I would call it more a satire than parody. People.
Oh, wow.
Oh, literature news
Whatever,
in your face.
Cornell, get off my fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Get off my Ithaca nuts,
yeah,
says Pete.
Yeah, I remember back at Cornell, we'd be like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are satire, not parody. And over at the college, they would say, I like pizza and I love being a turtle.
I mean,
we'd be waiting in line at the hot truck going, give me a PMP, please. Thank you.
There's a lot of truth to that in relation to these graduates that I'm talking about right here. That's right. Your thesis was on turtle power, right, Alex?
Yes, exactly. And how to make it more accessible to middle America.
And Pete, your thesis was on Cornell people being on your nuts, right?
Yep.
Just a quick note here before we wrap up. Radlam says Justin works on The Boys. Now I need to see that show. Justin works on Inside the Boys.
Inside the Boys. Let's not
the
get
after
crazy.
Show.
Yeah,
but it's great.
It's great.
Still a part of it.
I've seen a lot of buzz about that show. I feel like people are watching it and talking about it and excited about it.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. It is it's a really different after show because they get into shit so much so that our comments on Amazon's page have been overtaken by a lot of Trump people, which is pretty wild because the show is very satirical and very critical of corporate power and racism and all these things. And the fact that people are like, I love The Boys, but this show that calls out The Boys for what it is too much for me.
Well, so let's talk about this for 1 second before we move on, because the same sort of thing is happening with The Boys in the comments on the main show as well, where I randomly scrolled down. I don't even know why I did this, and looked at the rating on Amazon there, and people were mostly
Why did you do that?
I don't know. I was trying to figure out where the journalism, and it was rated really lowly, and I was very surprised. And most of the comments were like, "What the fuck? Why are there only 3 episodes? Why did you put the whole thing? This sucks." But then there were also a lot of people railing against it, and it's kind of fascinating in this microcosm of what we talk about a lot with superhero fiction, where it feels like there's a lot of people that just watch it or read it, but don't intake any of the lessons. And particularly with something with The Boys, it's not like, yes, blowing up whales is cool, ripping off heads is cool. It's power corrupts, and these things make people do bad things.
Well, even more specifically, I don't know how anyone can watch that show and be like, Homelander? Yeah, he gets it. I'm that guy. And maybe people are doing that, but I do think people are absorbing it. I think the backlash is more about some sort of targeted, probably Facebook group that is being like, let's comment bomb these shows to show just for something to do. Because there's very little specific anti-Trump or anti-Christian specific things in.
There's a comment here from Ben the Border Collie, quote, I also like breast milk. Some baka guy.
Truth.
Very funny.
Truth.
Well, that's kind of like how people would watch the Colbert Show, the old show on Comedy Central, and be like, that guy's awesome. He's not doing a character.
Right. Or I watch old Nazi videos on YouTube and we're like, you know what? They have some interesting ideas.
Come on. Stop doing
You're
that.
famous. You're famous
Stop
for
doing that bit, please.
No, Alex does a lot of great cultural commentary with an occasional not pro-Nazi video tossed in.
All right, folks, we're going to move to our next section, which is trivia. And for that, we are going to turn it over to Pete LePage.
Oh,
Pete LePage, the not itchy star of trivia.
Oh, no. Frankie Castle Forever has hand up.
Can't not pick it.
Yeah. All right, Frankie Castle Forever. Let's get this over
here we go.
with.
This is going to be fun because here's the thing.
Today's trivia is on topical comic news. And if you get all 3 questions right...
Let's just wait a second. You have to wait until the person's in the feed. We're invite them in.
Do you know who this is, Pete?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
First time able to see the screen. Love you guys.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
So, Pete, give him a chance to win a $25 gift card to Midtown Comics. Take it away.
All right, great. So I'm going to read you a question, listen to all 3 possible answers, get all 3 questions right. $25 will be yours in the form of a Midtown gift card for online shopping so you can stay safe. All right, today's trivia is on topical comic news. Question number 1. Marvel is celebrating 50 years of whom in December? Is it A, Dupe, B, Conan, or is it C, Christopher Walken? So it's either A or it's B.
B it is.
B
is correct.
Dupe.
Yeah, there's a Conan king-size issue coming out in December. Should be pretty cool. All right, here we go. Question number 2. The new Batman character, Clown Hunter, has thought to be whom? Is it A, Damon Wayne, B,
Damon Wayne. Damon Wayne
one
Jr.
of the Wayne brothers. Yeah, no. Damian Wayne. Or is it B, Batmite, or is it C, Tina Fey? So A, or you could be wrong.
Even though I think the writer said no on Twitter today.
Yeah, it was revealed on Twitter that no, stop it, knock it off.
Yeah, you got out topicaled by topical comic news.
Yeah, that's right. All right, here we go. Last one. Who returns in Eternals #2, which is also out this December? Is it A, Thanos, B, Silver Surfer, or is it C, Jeff Goldblum? So it's either A, Thanos, or you don't get $25.
A, Thanos.
A, Thanos is correct.
Woo! Great stuff.
Yes.
I got nothing on the Secret Sea game either.
Oh, all right. Well, Kevin is correct as always. It's Man of the Year.
What is your actual name? Frankie Castle Forever? Because that's I almost named my daughter that.
Yeah, it's very common here on the West Coast. No, it's Jeff Whaley.
Nice.
Hey, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff, for coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't appreciate
email.
I don't appreciate it, but I appreciate you.
Yes. Shoot us an email at comicbookclublive@gmail.com. We'll get you set up with the gift certificate. And have a great night.
Sounds good.
Cool room
Later,
that
Jeff.
you're in.
All right. Okay, folks. As we all know, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day. We recommend you go wherever is safe to pick up your comic books. Pete, what are you looking forward to?
A lot of great stuff coming out, guys. A lot of great stuff. But I'm going to have to go with something we don't talk about ever, and that's Once and Future number 11.
Wow. Nice. I thought you were going to say, I got to give it up for something we don't talk about a lot. The Bible. Guys, you got to get out and read the Bible. It's a new comic every week. Have you heard the good news?
Justin, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
I'm going to give it up for a book called Stillwater out tomorrow, written by Chip Zdarsky and drawn by one of my favorite artists, Ramon Perez.
Great cover on that book. Speaking of great cover.
Very excited. I feel like Chip Zdarsky sort of first came to prominence as an artist, but has really separated himself from the pack when it comes to his writing. His Daredevil run has been really excellent, written with such confidence. Very excited to see what this creator-owned book is like.
Yeah, I am looking forward to You Look Like Death, Tales from the Umbrella Academy #1. It's good to see Gerard Way back on the book, even if this is a spin-off, still feels consistent, and focuses on Klaus.
Yeah,
everybody.
That's why
yeah,
you love it.
I love Klaus. I do like Klaus. So I'm excited to read a Klaus series. That'll be fun.
We should do a podcast about. We should do a podcast about that one comic book.
We absolutely should. We'll definitely have time to do that. And all of those are going to have reviews in the Stack podcast that is in the comic book feed or its own Stack feed. It's a weird coincidence how that keeps happening.
It is crazy.
Absolutely. And folks, I think that's it for our show. So, a couple of people we want to thank before we go. We want to thank our amazing guest, Sean Chen. Check out Wingman whenever you can. Also, Gerry Duggan. Check out Marauders Cable, as well as the rest of his stuff, and Tennis Swords coming up very soon. Next week on the show, we're going to have 2 more great guests for you. Fred Van Lente is going to be back on the show.
He's a
He's a basketball player now. He's going to be talking about the comic book story of basketball, which I'm going to have a lot of questions about, like, who are those tall guys, how do you make points, etc. I'm also going to have Matthew Klein Valiant's VP of Sales and Marketing is going to be here to talk a little bit about what that publisher is doing to deal with COVID, what they have coming forward, because they have a big slate of books and they're coming back in a big way. So that should be a lot of fun. Also, if you want to support our podcast, patreon.com/comicbook. We have a couple of other podcasts. Let's Hear It for the Boys podcast now coming out every Friday. Umbrella Podcademy on our Umbrella Academy podcast coming out at some point. We'll get back to it. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen to the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter, comicbooklive.com for this podcast and more. Go Rochester, right, Pete?
Yeah, The Rock, baby.
The Rock. Baby. All right, and that's it. Everybody have a good week. Thanks so much for coming on.
Good night, guys.
Stop with those.
Yeah. Oh, God, this horrible shears.
Throw those away.
Happy Halloween.
They can't be